Peter Jones, Chartered Surveyor, Author and Property Investor, and in a previous video I dealt with a question from somebody else who's called Peter. Thank you for the question, Peter, and he was asking, should he start by buying his own property or start by buying a buy-to-let property? And Peter sent in a supplemental follow-up question which I'm going to deal with now, so thank you again for the other question as well, Peter. And he says, at what point do the banks recognise your income from property as a wage so that they don't stop you from buying buy-to-lets due to minimal income? Well, as I prefaced my answer to the previous question, there are no hard and fast rules. And if I gave you a very definitive answer, I'm sure that we'll be able to find exceptions to the rule, because there are so many lenders with so many products. If you look hard enough, you'll probably find somebody who will lend to you. But let me talk in generalities, because the general rule would be that most banks require you to have an income of about £25,000. Now, some don't. Those that don't, though, are under increasing pressure from, for example, the Bank of England because of the changes in the market. The banks are under a lot of pressure to make sure that the loans that they give don't destabilise the property market. That's the excuse. So the Bank of England, the FCA, all sorts of bodies are putting pressure on the banks to make sure that they don't lend in what they would call a carefree and reckless manner. So whereas before some banks may not have been interested in your income if you were buying purely for buy-to-let, most of them are, and even if on their website they say that they're not, the chances are they're probably going to want to look at it anyway, just to make sure that you are of sufficient financial stature to be able to afford the buy-to-let loan if something went wrong. So for example, if you had voids and you couldn't pay your mortgage because you weren't getting rent for a period of time, they want to know that you've got sufficient income to be able to cover that. So I'd say as a general answer, Peter, most banks probably want you to have an income of at least 25,000 before you start. Thanks for the questions, keep them coming in.